Good evening everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. And yes, New Mills has light. Let's take you up there. I've fitted a number of different street lamps, obviously station lamps. Take you to so here we are at the tunnel end of the station, to the footbridge and the road bridge. And the signal box, excuse me as I just move around, you can see the lights in the signal box. Okay. And the road has a little bit of light. Okay, now rest the camera onto the platform. Hopefully you can get a flavour of what that feels like. Okay, now obviously I still need to flock all of these trees, and that was partly the reason for putting the lamps in, because I didn't really want to go too much further with the flocking and then having to trim or cut back all of the trees to get the lamps in. So I thought it was easier to put the lamps in now at this stage and then refit the trees. And this one particularly here, because obviously I had to drill right through deep, down through here and then through the baseboard, and obviously this one at the top here, of which that's bent back a little bit, but that one was probably the deepest of all, because I probably got about 2.5 inches down to the baseboard plus the baseboard itself, so it was a little bit tricky. Okay, so my next job is to fill this area here now with trees, or the lichen anyway, this stuff, and then once that's gone off, then flock the whole of that section right through to the end. Okay, I'm not going to ballast just yet, and you probably won't be able to make out around here. No, you can't, it's pitch black. But I am going to put a crossover point, or a couple of points just around the corner there. It's becoming more and more obvious that trains need to come in and still leave from platform 2. I had a strange moment the other day. I thought I'd have a look at what trains are going into New Mills, and I saw trains going back to Manchester Piccadilly from platform 2, which is this platform. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, that's not going to work on my layout if I don't put a crossover in. So I'm going to do that hopefully before the weekend, so you should see that fitted on this video at some point. Okay, right, I'll come back to you once I fitted those trees and got some flocking done. In fact, I might even show you the flocking so you can see what happens there. All right, catch you soon. Right, you join me again. This is Tuesday night now, so another day on. I've just finished putting the foliage all the way up to the top, and that is still wet. I say wet, but I've literally only just put it on, so the glue won't have had time to harden off yet at all. But before I start spraying this with watered down PVA, I need to protect these PVA glue sections. So what I'm going to do is to put some varnish over the top, which I use this stuff, which is the Ronseal stuff, but again other brands are available. And so I'm literally just going to dab an amount over the top of each of these glue sections, and that will just hold those lampposts in place. Okay, speak to you in a minute. Right, here we go. Now I'm ready now to put flock on all of this. So what have I done so far? I'll just put that up there. I've obviously covered up everything that you can see. I've just taken an old bin liner, covered up the back there, protected the back scene over there, and that obviously protects any trains that are still down there, and also carrier bag over the top here. Lots of masking tape, and I've actually made these little pockets to go over the new lampposts. Again, I don't want to get glue on those, okay, or flock, as I should say. Now, my problem is this. When I'm putting glue on the top, the flock will be fine on the top section, but underneath here along the front, there's no way I'm going to get it to stick just by dropping it like that, because obviously gravity causes the flock to just fall straight down. So I've been trying to think, what can I do to get the flock to go in sideways? And I've come up with an idea of using the airbrush just like that as I hold. There seems to be a bit of a leak down the bottom. This is not a very good joint, I'm afraid, at the bottom. But pressing the airbrush, so as I drop it down, the airbrush will then blow the flock in sideways in there. I'm hoping it's going to work. I've not done it before, but in theory, it should work. Okay, so my first stage is to put glue all over everything. I'm only going to do a bit at a time. Now, inside here is watered down 50/50 PVA and a drop of washing up liquid. So let's give it a squirt. I want to try and get the glue over all of the areas. So now it's frothed up a bit. Just going to give that a moment just to sort of calm itself. It will settle down, trust me, it'll be all right. Just give that a bit of a rub in. Everything will be fine. It looks an absolute sight at the moment. You're thinking, what on earth has he done? Everything will be fine. Right. I just want to make sure that's completely covered. Obviously it's all very wet at the moment. Alright, I'm not going to do any more on that on cam. Right. I'm going to use 3 different types of flock. So I'm using Green Blend from Woodland Scenics. This came as part of the the Scenic starter packs. They're about £6-7, and I bought them from Worley last year, and the amount of stuff you get is quite incredible, really, and lots of it, lots of different things. I'm using this tiny ground scatter, which is a darker colour. Obviously you can see the 2 colours there, and then something a tad brighter, which is Gauge Masters Foliage Mid Green. Hopefully you can see that on cam. So when I put all 3 together, you can see they're subtly different. Obviously that's a bit different to that, but that's absolutely fine. Okay, so my first job is to just scatter over the top. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about here, and everybody's done this hundreds of times. Now, like I said, I'm not concerned in the slightest about the amount of glue on the foliage itself, because it will settle down. I'm just going to treat it as if they are separate trees, or try to, that's the aim. Okay, now I've got some quite clearly on the top, but I need to get it under there. So this is where I'm hoping it's going to work. It might. And it is going in. You can see it's starting to catch at the bottom. You know, somebody said in one of the comments the other day, I do like to do things differently to other people. Made me chuckle. But I look at things, if it works, great. You know, I'm design trained. I went to college and did design, 3D design. And part of that is to see a problem and solve it. And you have to solve it in the most innovative of ways. And sometimes things work, and sometimes things don't work. And, you know, you just have to find the best way of solving problems. Anyway, I think you're getting the idea of where I'm going with this now. And what I'm going to do is put some different coloured scatter on the top of that, just to give it some variation in different places, because obviously trees are not all one uniform colour to look at, that is, anyway. But anyway, I'm going to work my way along all the way to the end up here, and I'll join you shortly when that is done. So there we are so far, gone all the way along. Does look a complete site at the moment, yes I know, but obviously all the glue has got to go off. You can obviously see the white bits in it, but I'll take all the plastic away, and I need to do that now because otherwise it will start to stick, and I don't want that to happen. So I'll get all that taken away and I'll show you the scene then. There we are. That's the scene with all the plastic and protection removed. I've left the scene at the back, obviously all this black plastic stuff, because just in case there's any drips, and there will be. I mean, even since mopping this up, there's another little pool gathered, and I'm really not that worried by that. Everything should dry nicely in another 2 or 3 days. That should be rock hard. Okay, take you up to show you from the other direction. Ground level, obviously the footbridge has been removed. That would go in just there. Excuse my finger. Hopefully you can get the impression of what this is all going to look like now. And once the whitiness of the PVA has gone, that should blend very nicely in with that scene at the back there. There's a bottle and a pot in the scene, excuse all that, but that should just tie up really nicely, giving the impression of this tunnel of trees that the train goes through. And when this side of the platform 1 has been done, it should give a real tunnel effect, which should be, in my opinion, really rather lovely. Okay, well, I'll show you in another day or so once that's dried. I couldn't resist showing you the scene at night time as such, as it stands. I'm really quite pleased with that, and once it's dry it'll just look, well, in my opinion, stunning. Obviously there's a lot of glue gathering on the platforms again. I'm really not that worried, it'll just dry off, and you know, I can soon, you know, if necessary, I can soon touch up the platforms with a bit of grey. It'll be all right. Like I said, I'll catch you maybe tomorrow. See how it goes. Speak soon. Right, it's Thursday night, and this, I won't say it's bone dry, but it ain't far off. Take it to the other end. The view along from the platform, panning round. And this, the bridge. I just haven't put the footbridge back on at the moment. It's there. But actually, I'm really pleased with the way that's turned out. The platform has gone a little bit green, but I can soon sort that out. That's not an issue at all. I think I'll just put a little bit more paint over the top of that. It's gone a bit yucky, quite frankly, but honestly, I'll sort that out. It's not really a big issue. Okay, right, my next job, panning you around now in the light. I mentioned a point, a crossover point, and there it is. It does look a little bit rough at the moment, but I think once all that's ballasted and fitted down, it will be an awful lot better. I've literally just fitted it, so it's not even glued down yet. So that's my next job. Put some glue PVA underneath and then weight it down with some heavy weights. Okay, I'll show you that hopefully running assuming there's no issues, of course. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not able to fit frog juicers at the moment, so I'm hoping that there is enough power to get through one track to the other. It's really just going to be the pacers crossing over, and they do seem to have fairly good pickup, although I've had one of the pacers stopping on a point around here, but I've got a feeling that's because of the connection between the two carriages. If you've got a pacer, you'll perhaps know what I mean. There is a brass strip which runs between the two with a clip, but those brass strips do have a tendency to pop off, and it does cause one or two sort of slight issues. I've had to solder one of mine back together again. You know, it's the way it is. Anyway, I'll get that glued, and I might even call that an end to this video, to be honest. And I'll probably be doing some more over the weekend, and I'll see you really soon. Hope you've enjoyed this. Please do like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you soon up again at Piccadilly. Take care now. Bye.